I'm talking today with Craig Cooper, who has written a book called Glad You're Here with Walker Hayes, the country star who has really blown up in the past year. And this is based off of a song called Craig. And Craig, I want to talk about the song and talk about Walker in a minute. But first, tell me how this book came about.
Oh, that's a great question. We wrote it really over COVID. The world shut down, and I had started a staffing firm. My background has been in IT recruiting and staffing, as well as in pastoral ministry. And I've been bivocational for a number of years where I've been doing both. And I had started a staffing firm in the fall of 2019 and, had a great fourth quarter, a great first quarter. And then March 11th, it was my daughter's birthday. And, we get the news and the announcement and everything that basically the world was shutting down. And I remember I went from 22 jobs on the board, in my system down to 2. And I had a team of people that I had hired that were working out of Chattanooga remotely. I live in the Nashville area, and, at that point, I didn't have enough work for everybody. And so they were able to take that work and do it. And I found myself in a position where I was just praying, Lord, what do you want me to do? And I've had a burden and a desire to write for a number of years. I'm a big reader. I've started, writing projects. I did a writing project at one point. I didn't trust anyone else to read it except for Walker first. And I sent it to him, and he's like, "Oh man, this is amazing. You need to put it out." And that's the kind of friendship that we had. And what had happened in the providence of God at that exact same time, when the world shut down, the Hayes moved next door. I mean, that was planned pre-COVID and all of that. They found a house, they bought it, and you go through that whole process, and then they're next door, and we decided, hey, let's just quarantine together because we didn't know what this was going to look like. So Walker and I would spend the afternoons, on my back porch or his back porch, and we would write songs together, and we would dream together. We just had a blast, and it was such a sweet season in the midst of all of the turmoil that was going on in the world, for us to have each other and be able to quarantine together. So I spent my mornings writing. I was writing story, and then, the scriptural underpinnings, and then significance, to the reader and everything. And then in the afternoons, Walker and I were writing songs together. And, he was really excited about the book. He had read stuff I had written in the past. He's always encouraging me on that. And we talked about, him writing the foreword to the book. And he was so excited about that. I sent about 50,000 words to a friend of mine. And again, this is crazy. She had written about 7 books. I was just trying to get her thoughts. Hey, do you think that there would be a market, for this, or that there'd be interest in the world? And she said, yeah, I think there would be interested, and I'm interested. I just got hired on as an acquisitions editor, and my job is to find unpublished Christian authors who have something to share with the world. I was like,
my word. Wow.
So she had come off the road, traveling, speaking, and everything, and she took a job with Moody Publishers as an acquisitions editor, and this is somebody that I had known for, I think it's close to 20 years, and so we began talking, and she shared it with the team there, and they were interested, and they wanted to move forward. And then as Walker and I are writing songs together and everything, and I was writing this, we were creating really fun things, collaborating together. And I just thought, man, you want to do the book together? And, you can share your story, your testimony, and I'll share, and we'll just adjust it. And he got really excited. Moody got really excited. And then now we have this.
There it is.
So it's crazy.
So looking back now, you see how God took some minor details, which you thought at the time were minor, and really they turned into kind of life-changing. The fact that COVID happened. He happened to move next door to you. You were able to have the time to write it. Now here is that book. And going back years to the song, I'm sure that when Walker Hayes wrote that song about you, he wasn't a big star at the time. He had a following, but he wasn't huge. Talking about Applebee's, it was
Right.
about his friend who gave him a car. Tell everybody not familiar with the song about the. It's really kind of a simple story, but it's a big lesson.
Yeah. So we met the Hayes in, January of 2014, I believe is when it was. We had moved here, or it was 2013. Yeah, we had moved here to plant a church, from East Tennessee to Nashville, and we met the Hayes. My wife actually met Lainey through some neighborhood gatherings and get-togethers of where we were living at the time, in Franklin. And then she saw the Hayes again when we were doing kind of an upward basketball deal for our kids on a Saturday morning. And they kind of recognized each other and they reconnected. It was short for me and Walker, not a memorable moment. You have all of that stuff going on, but Laura invited Lainey and the family to the church, and we were meeting in a borrowed church on Saturday night, and they decided to come. And you can hear Walker share his side of that. We talk about that in the book. It's really remarkable because he didn't want to go or anything like that. And then they came that night and we saw them and you just embraced them. And it was like that, wow.
And was it called Redeeming Grace, the name of the church?
It's called Redeeming Grace Church. Yeah. We planned, we had probably 30 people there. Wow. So this is not many people there at all. Walker looked completely different than he looks right now. His hair's shaggy and everything. And walked in and So, and he would tell it, the first thing I said to him was, "Oh man, I'm so glad you're here." And that's really what he shares that in the song. Met Craig at a church called Redeeming Grace. It's like he understood my "I don't want to be here" face. I felt out of place and I smelled like beer, but he just shook my hand and said, "I'm glad you're here." We became fast friends after that. It was a Saturday night. So, have you guys eaten yet? No. We went out to a Mexican restaurant and all of our combined kids, we took over the place. I've got 4 kids.
Even though he wasn't a believer, he still wanted to hang out. But did he want to be preached to?
No. Normally Walker would hold Loxley and stand out in the hallway or whatnot while the messages were going on. But then he would linger and hang, and we would play games and Foursquare, and then we go out to eat and all of that. And we just loved him. We, and loved their whole family. Just love him so much. So then what Laura and I started going on Wednesday nights to Walker Wednesdays. He would play songs at a place called Puckett's Boathouse. And there, on a Wednesday night, you might have 15 people there. You might have 30 people there. They're all gnawing on chicken bones and, eating. And I was mesmerized by his gift at that moment. Like, you wrote these songs? That's crazy. That's amazing, man. And I kind of wanted everybody in the restaurant, just to, like, everybody be quiet.
Stop and listen. Yeah.
Listen to this. And we would stand in the parking lot afterwards. And we went nearly every Wednesday night. So we would go to church on Saturday night. We would hang out on Wednesday night. And then we would have baseball games for either of our kids. And then, our dogs, we ended up, just anytime we would swap out traveling, we drop our dogs off, they drop their dogs off or something like that. And we lingered a lot. We spent a lot of time together, with the Hayes during that season. And, I remember standing in everybody knows him now. Guy is just unbelievably gifted. I believe by God, with words and songs. And but I would stand in the parking lot with him and just say, man, it's crazy to me that you're playing to here. And I promise you, bro, you are going to pack stadiums. Like, how do you write like this? And I would just, really try to encourage him. And we listened to all the MP3s that if he would write something, they would send it to us and everything like that. But, we knew when they were struggling, and, he had a vehicle that was given to him as a part of his, when he was on the record label. And, when the dealership found out, he was dropped from that label, they went for a while, and then they said, hey, we need to get the car back, that vehicle back. And so we let him borrow our van. Anytime we travel, we'd go out of town, or we just would swap and let him, take that. So we knew there was a need there. And at one point just felt really impressed, talking to Lara, like, hey, Lara, we need to give him our van and figure it out. And so we started to pray that God would provide another vehicle for us. And
so, Craig, were you, you don't have to get too personal here, but were you financially wealthy at the time enough to just give away a van, or was it kind of like, this is a big test of faith?
It was a test of faith. Yeah, I write about it in the book. I share a little bit from a journal entry where I think we had, 30. It's somewhere $34 or something in the checking account.
Wow. Okay. So it was a real big test of faith, a $34 test of faith.
Yeah. And well, what happened is we felt like we need, I want to give them this. God, please provide so that we can do that. And I was working in a place that had, had commissions if you made placements, and the Lord provided. I made a placement, and we had just enough where we could go and get a used vehicle that we ended up replacing. So it happened like that, where, we got the check and everything. We went and got the used vehicle for us, and then we cleaned the van up and we took it to the baseball field and we gave it to him. I could never imagine what God was up to. We were just trying to say, hey man, we love you. Take the van. We know it helps because you use it when we're gone. That's all we were trying to do. And then you fast forward later, and it was a while later, long while later, he when he wrote that song and sent it to me, and it wasn't intended for commercial use. It wasn't intended for the world to hear. It was really just a thank you note from Walker to our family. And when I got it, I just was broken in the best possible way, just speechless, tears. And I felt like God was singing like over me through Walker. And just imagine. And it hit me at a time when I really needed it, because I was actually discouraged, going, God, is there anything going on in my life that, or, I had taken a walk that day and said, Lord, is anything I'm doing making a difference in anybody's life?
Wow.
Please help me see. And then that happened. And, but we kept it quiet. We didn't even share with the kids. We just said,
the song, the song or the gift? The
song. Oh, both. Yeah, the gift. I mean, the gift, it's funny because I have an identical twin. He lives in this area, and we got the kids, and we're like, hey, listen, don't tell anybody that we gave them this van, not even Uncle Stu, not Auntie, not the cousins. The Bible says, when you give, don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. And so we're doing this in secret. And I know that's going to be weird, if they see them driving in the van and everything, but just y'all, please don't share with anyone. We're doing this for, to bless the Hayes, and we're going to keep it tight and private with the Lord. So we didn't tell our family. We didn't tell anybody.
Hmm.
And then when the song came out, we didn't, I didn't even share it with kids. And then, and we're so together with the Hayes a lot. At some point, one of their kids was like, "What do you think about that song that my dad wrote about your dad?" And then I remember Joshua, my son, saying, "Hey, is there a song? Because you haven't shared that with us. You normally share all these songs with us." And so we kind of worked through that whole thing, and then ended up taking them upstairs into the bonus room and saying, "All right, guys, we're going to play this for you because you heard about it from the Hayes, but we're not sharing this with anyone. So please don't talk about it with anybody. This is just a personal thank you from the Hayes to us, but we're going to pray for Walker that God draws him, to himself." And they all agreed. And so then it blew me away when found out that his management team had heard the song and wanted to put it on the album. Like, what? So yeah, that's the story.
That is great. And who would have thought that my wife here in Idaho Falls would use that song teaching her youth Sunday school class 3 years ago?
Oh,
I mean, and
funny.
playing it for them, you don't think about it. And I'm sure that you, as the giver, you were saying you felt discouraged that day.
Oh, yeah.
You might walk away from that more than the receiver in an odd sort of way that can't really be described. Is that kind of how you felt, you and your wife?
Yeah, it's interesting because Walker didn't want to accept it. I didn't know how it was going to land on him, and so I had brought the title, and I had already signed my portion, and I had already put like the $0 or whatever, and had the keys. We had cleaned it all up. So I kind of felt like, what, I'm going to give this to him whether he wants it or not. I know they need it. But when we had that moment in the parking lot, it was dark, so you're under the light of the stadium lights, the baseball field lights and whatnot. And when he realized what was going down, he's backing up. He's like, "No, man, no way. I am not taking your van. No." And I was like, "Dude, please, I know you guys need it. He's like, "What are you going to do?" And we're already covered. And I showed him the new, it was a used Chrysler Pacifica that we had
New
purchased.
to you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, we're good. We got ourselves, we're covered. And here's the keys, and here's the title, man. All you got to do is sign and it's yours. And he was like, the kids were, the whole family. I mean, our two families were there. I remember Leela leaning out of, the vehicle she was in. She's like, "Dad, just take the car." It was so funny. And then I said to him, because Laura's grandfather had done this for us at one point. I had bought a truck for $800, and it served our family for about a year and a half, and then it was kind of not doing well. And he took me into the detached garage in Poolsville, Maryland, in his area, and he brought me up to his Ford Ranger and said, "I don't need this anymore." He was in his 90s, and he was like, here's the key and the title. You just sign it. It's yours. And, I was just doing what Pop had done, for us. And so I said to Walker, "Hey, man, somebody did this for me once. Just let me do this for you." And then you could tell he softened a bit right then. And he took it, and we didn't say much. We drove home, and yeah, I had that feeling, Nate, of like, okay, I think this will help them. I'm like, you got to understand, like, we love their family, like they're our family, like they're like their kids, like they're our kids. Like, I just felt like it would help them. It was going to help Walker. It was going to help Laney. It was going to help the kiddos, And then later we'd be hanging out, and every once in a while he would totally change the subject. Like, we'd be talking about anything, and then he'd just look at me and go, "Dude, you gave us your car. Like, he never felt like he, I guess, adequately said thank you. And that happened for probably, it was a couple years before he wrote the song. Wow. So the song came out of the middle of nowhere for me. We had forgotten all about it.
Oh, that's funny. And so the song comes out, and I got to tell you that back in 2017 or 18, I went to Salt Lake City, and he was performing there, and I had requested an interview, and I got on site, and the tour manager's like, yeah, come on onto his bus for the interview. And I'm like, wow, that's a pretty nice invitation. A lot of these quote unquote famous people you interview, and it's real quick, very rehearsed, 5 minutes. So go on his bus. He's like, where do you want to sit? Where do you want to do this? Let's sit right here. Walker was. We do the interview. My wife was with us. He's like, come backstage. Let me show you around. I'm like, wow, who is this guy? So we go backstage. We ended up getting stuck in an elevator for a little bit because it was a freight elevator. And I walked away more than from the concert, but more with that encounter that this is a solid person, an individual person who cares about people.
He does.
And then we kept hoping, like, he should be huge. He should fill stadiums. He should do this. So then when Fancy Like comes along and it finally seemed like the world could be introduced to him, it's kind of a nice feeling. And I imagine as one of his best friends, you felt the same way. Like, yes, he's finally getting recognized.
An absolute answer to prayer, Nate. Yeah, absolute answer to prayer. I mean, just it's remarkable to watch, and couldn't happen to someone who better. Like, I mean, he's so grateful. He handles it well, and it's been so wonderful to see what's happened with Fancy Like, and really, I mean, now AA is just crushing it, and all the numbers and everything, and he's working on new music as well, and they've got another tour that's coming up, and it's exciting. It's really exciting to watch. And it's neat too, just in the convergence of him being able to share his testimony and his story with a larger audience. And that's what he gets really excited about, and has shared, with me and publicly multiple times, is just the excitement to be able to reach more and more people with his story.
And the name of the book is called Glad You're Here, Two Unlikely Friends Breaking Bread and Fences. There it is. Yep. And Craig, it comes out May 3rd.
May 3rd, yeah. It's available for pre-order right now, anywhere books are sold. Actually, you can go to walkerandcraig.com. We've got a really cool website, and it's got a video on there, and then you can see different endorsements from people. Hoda Kotb, and Annie Downs, and different individuals have shared their take from reading the pre-copy. But yeah, it comes out May 3rd, and available anywhere where books are sold. And the subtitle, Two Unlikely Friends Breaking Bread and Fences, is really neat, because we actually ripped the fence out between our two backyards.
That's awesome.
When he first moved in, so that it just make it easier for all the kids and everybody to go back and forth.
And I'm sure you've broken a lot of bread over the years together, which is awesome.
We have, yeah. I mean, our dinner times together are in the, oh my goodness, I don't even know how to quantify it, but it's so many hours. We love it.
Again, it's a simple, I guess it's a big act of kindness. It's a simple act of kindness that started with a song. Now it's turned into a book, and who knows how many hearts and minds are going to be touched around the world because of that.